It is Sunday sit-down time. With me now, virtually, is my good friend Mitchell Forde from PowerMizzou's.com. Mitchell, how are things going over at your place? That's where I assume you are right now.
Yeah, pretty good. You're spoiling me. I might never come back into the studio for you all again now that I know I can do this from the couch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely easier for both of us, I would say. We were both at the Mizzou game last night. Just your overall takeaways from Coach Drinkwitz's first game as the Mizzou head coach.
Yeah, it was funny. I came into the game thinking I really don't know a lot about this Missouri team because we hadn't seen fall camp. They didn't really have spring practices, obviously a new coach. And then a lot of it kind of was, about as expected. They weren't good enough to hang with Alabama. That wasn't a surprise. They were good enough not to get blown out. The quarterback play was up and down, a little inconsistent. The offensive line was a bit of a weakness. The defensive line was, the pass rush specifically was a bit of a weakness. Kind of a lot of what we expected. Overall, it was a lot of fun to be at a live football game again, even if it was a little less raucous of an atmosphere than usual. And there's definitely, there's cause for optimism. There's a few things that probably need to be fixed as the season goes along. So, as far as season openers go, obviously you want to win every game, but that was probably never realistic with this one. I think this gives Drinkwitz and his staff a good opportunity to kind of build as we get into more manageable games on the schedule.
Well, we'll start with the quarterback position because both Connor Basilak and Sean Robinson got to play. Sean obviously got a lot more reps than Connor did. We'll start with Sean. What did you think of the way he played, and do you think he's kind of earned the starting role per se that maybe playing a full game?
Yeah, I think we'll continue to see, Connor Basilak get some reps, but I would, say that Sean Robinson obviously is the starter based on how the reps shook out last night. And I thought he looked like the better quarterback. Now he was definitely a little rusty, a little inaccurate, a little jittery early. I'm going to chalk that up to just him not having played a football game in almost 2 full years. He was a little bit inconsistent. He made some really nice plays. He made threw a deep out down the sideline to Damon Hazelton at one point on that drive where he took a sack and ended in a field goal. He had that nice long touchdown to Tyler Beatty. He's mobile, which helps, with an offensive line that's not totally in sync yet. I thought he was kind of as advertised. Very good athlete, good arm, but also a little bit inconsistent. And he was the first to admit after the game, needs to throw the ball away a little bit sooner, needs to be a little more careful with the ball. Obviously had the one fumble, needs to maybe make some better decisions. But, I think there was definitely some, just some physical, traits that you saw that you can definitely build on. And, the hope is obviously as this offense gets more reps together and as he gets more reps with these playmakers in this offensive line, that he could be a weapon both as a passer and a runner.
Well, going to Connor Basilak now, the last time we saw him, he tore his ACL against Arkansas. The fact that it's not even a year later, he's looked healthy, got that touchdown on the last play of the game. Is that some optimism, you think, from Mizzou fans? Maybe if he's not the starter this year, but moving forward?
Yeah, well, first of all, this year especially, you really do want to have 2 quarterbacks that you can, potentially rely on because you're always one snap away as the backup from getting thrust into a role. But this year, you're not even one snap away. You're one, test away, and they're taking those tests 3 times a week. So you absolutely want to have a second guy who's capable and who's ready. And first of all, just, great to see Connor Basilak looking healthy, obviously running around pretty successfully. Obviously not everyone recovers from a torn ACL that quickly, so that's great. He showed he does, he's a crisp thrower. He's got a nice arm. He made that nice throw down the sideline to Damon Hazelton that wasn't caught. He also missed a couple receivers. Once when he just didn't see Kiki Chisholm running over the middle. Once when he missed an open guy towards the end. But he's a redshirt freshman. He's got 4 years of eligibility left.
Well, switching over to the defense, Martez Manuel really had a big performance for the Tigers. 3.5 tackles for loss. I believe that led all defensive players in the SEC in week 1. What'd you think of his performance? And is it, you think, sustainable? You think he could be one of those upper echelon SEC defensive players the rest of his career? He's only a sophomore.
Yeah, he was really impressive. I kind of thought coming into the season that him and Stacy Brown would maybe split reps at that strong safety hybrid linebacker position like we saw Khalil Oliver and Ronald Perkins do last season. But he played almost every snap, and he was great. Like you said, 3.5 tackles for loss. He was in on a couple pass breakups. He was also, he was playing, his position coach wasn't even at the stadium. Charlie Harbison was sidelined for COVID-related issues. So, certainly optimistic about that. He looked like he belonged physically. Obviously we'll see going forward. The more teams get tape on players, things can change. But a really, really exciting start for the Columbia kid.
Well, it technically gets easier next week with Mizzou going on the road against Tennessee. It feels weird to say because Tennessee's a really good football team, but, having Alabama in week 1, what do you think Mizzou's chances are in that game? Is that going to be another uphill battle you would expect?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch Tennessee yesterday, obviously, because they were playing at the same time as Missouri. But their experience. They've got Jared Garantano back at quarterback. Their offensive line was really, I thought, pretty good towards the end of last season. So that'll be a little bit of a challenge, but certainly not a challenge to the level of Alabama. You enter this game thinking, okay, Missouri's not the favorite, but they can win. I mean, you entered this past week thinking it would take a miracle. So you certainly, we saw crazier things like this past Saturday than Missouri beating with Tennessee. And certainly I think, the hope is that they could definitely keep this one competitive going into the fourth quarter. And then, a couple things break your way. Maybe they come out on top.
Well, I got to ask you about Gabe DeArmond, PowerMizzou. He wasn't at the game, but you guys rolled out a bunch of new stuff for all the people subscribed to PowerMizzou. How's Gabe doing after, I believe, probably his first game maybe in years that he wasn't actually there?
YouTube celebrity now. He's too good for us. No, not really. Obviously, it's a really different year, and it's a different football experience for a lot of people because a lot of people can't go to these games. So the idea was we're doing a lot of live streaming stuff and stuff on YouTube, and it's actually, I think, non-subscribers can access it as well. So look for that on PowerMizzou.com.
Well, keep up the good work at PowerMizzou.com. Make sure to get your subscriptions. Mitchell Forde, thank you so much for coming on the virtual Sunday sit down. I guess enjoy the rest of your day watching football.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
All right, we'll be right back after this.